Hi guys, and welcome to What If Tutorials. In one of the previous tutorials I showed you how to push objects with a rigid body. Now an object that's being pushed needs to have a collision sound or a bump just to make it sound more realistic. Like for instance when an object like a cube hits a platform or another character, like this for instance. Now if you haven't watched the previous tutorial, then here's a quick recap. Now, if your brain wasn't able to follow that, then there should be a link here somewhere. And for the rest of you, I hope you brought a pen and paper, so let's get started.
What if tutorials?
So, as always, we have our famous block, proudly sponsored by What If Studios. Seriously, you should download the game, play it, and give us some feedback. And maybe give us a like on Facebook. So over here on the right, I've added another component, the audio source, with a collision sound, and I've turned off the play on awake. It should be off, and this sounds like this. Oops, I forgot the repeat was on. This sound you can make yourself. I made this sound myself. You can do this by tapping on the desk, for instance, or on the microphone, whichever way you want. So I'm gonna add another script now. Right click, create C# script, and I'm gonna call it like us on Facebook. I'm just kidding, you can call it collision sound or anything like that. Don't call it like us on Facebook, that would be stupid. I'm gonna add this onto the cube because I always forget to add it on the game objects, and it's such a stupid mistake. It's like if you want to turn on your computer but you can't because you forgot to put the switch on or something. So that's how stupid you feel. So I'm gonna open this up in MonoDevelop. Now, there are two variables that you have to take into account when you want to make the collision sounds. The first one will be the volume. And volume can usually go from 0 to 1. 0 being no sound at all and 1 being the top volume. And the second one you have is magnitude. And this magnitude, the volume will be dependent on the magnitude. So I'm going to add a new function here. On collision stay, collider, now this function will execute every time that something happens to the cube. For instance, if the character walks into the cube, or for instance, if the cube falls from 50,000 kilometers in the sky and then it falls on a platform or something, then this function is going to execute. By the way, I am South African, so I use the metric system, which I believe is like a billion times better than the imperial system. I mean, I just don't understand miles and feet and inches and all that stuff. But yeah, that's just me. Alright, now I'm gonna say audio.volume is that.rel. Oh, I made a mistake over here. This shouldn't be collider, this should be collision. Alright, so this dot relative velocity dot magnitude divided by 20. Now the reason I say divided by 20 is because that's the maximum force that I've tested. If you for instance say debug.log and then you say call.relative velocity.magnitude, then you can test this by seeing what the strongest force is of this magnitude. And for instance, let's say if the cube falls from a very high spot onto a platform, then this magnitude will probably be like 20, and 20 divided by 20 will be 1, which is the top volume that the volume can go. And that's what you're pretty much doing over here. The second thing you're going to do here is you're going to say audio.play, which will play this. By the way, this audio refers to the audio source, which is the audio source is the component that you added earlier. So this should work, but I just want to add a couple of other things. If the audio is not playing and the call dot relative velocity dot magnitude is more than 2. Okay, you don't have to say that. If the magnitude is more than 2, then that means that you want to play it. Otherwise, if it's less than 2, then you don't have to play anything. So this should work. I hope you understand this. If you, in your case, it might not be 20 that you divide it with. It might be something else. That's why you have to log this and go look in the console what the top magnitude is. So let's see if this works. Ah, you hear that? It works like a bomb. So thank you for watching, and from the studios of What If, have a nice day.
What if tutorials?